Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Palace podcast, brought to you by Global Sports Podcast Network. I'm Joe Lodge. I'll be hosting today. I've just recovered my voice after singing Boom, 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 Boom. Mateta's in the room at my girlfriend 54 times on Sunday. My voice had a nice rest now as she refuses to speak to me. A man who doesn't refuse to speak to me is Dan Tanner, who's joining me today. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing all right. You can sing that song as many times as you want. It's going to take a lot more than that to get rid of me. I'm still basking from the weekend anyway, so
you regret
bring
saying
on the FA Cup, I say. Come on.
I won't sing it for fear of licensing. It could get copyright struck because it's so lifelike to the original, but I'll give him one of these. Remember, right? The great performance.
Oh, the soundboard is back. Come on.
I really need some more sound effects for the soundboard. But yeah, that's the one for now. And I think Jean-Philippe Mateta's thoroughly earned one of them. Today, like X Factor judges forming an over 25s group for Prosecco sipping mummies, we're going to talk about Chilwell, Mateta, Muñoz and Jeff Schlupp. Starting with Chile, the England international left-back has joined Palace on loan until the end of the season. How excited should we be about this one, Dan?
I think we should be pretty excited about it. We don't usually get sort of a player of his sort of, say, stature to a point. His CV does speak for itself. He does have a Champions League winner, a Super Cup and 2021 England caps. So he's a fairly well-respected player. He's been around a while. We've got another left back, which we always seem to be talking about. When is Palace going to be buying another left back? And now we've got one, at least until the end of the season, and then we go from there. We start all over again.
Yeah. Well, definitely. And as you say, probably 2 or 3 years ago, you would have had him as one of the top left backs in world football, probably for a period. That year, they won the Champions League and the very start of next season.
At the very least in the Prem, anyway. So maybe not the Europe, but definitely in the Prem.
Yeah, and he reached that level playing in an almost identical formation, at least, if not whole system, to the one that Palace play now, that 3-4-3 with sort of 2 wide attacking midfielders behind the target man. That was how Tuchel liked to play at Chelsea. If there is a difference in style, it's that Tuchel's Chelsea were much more possession oriented and Palace are more direct. But I think that could actually be even better for Chilwell. He's liable to, more so than either Mitchell or even Muñoz, he's very, I think, happy to swing in an early cross and has a really good delivery in that, which for a counter-attacking side and one in which Mateta is constantly making great bursts into the box, very happy to receive the ball at sort of non-zero heights. I think that's potentially exciting for Palace. The obvious issue is just the reason that Chilwell's kind of fallen off that perch other than this season, where it seems to be more of a question of wanting to move him on from Chelsea's point of view and styles, is its fitness has been pretty squiffy the last few years. So that is the obvious kind of fly in the ointment and the thing that's going to make Palace slightly concerned. But half a season, Chelsea playing half his wages, cover at left wing back, I think this is a great deal, one for Palace to be really pleased about. Having sung his virtues there, Dan, do you think that he can or will challenge Mitchell for that starting left wing back spot?
I don't think he'll challenge for, well, definitely not immediately if his fitness is not up to scratch, and he definitely has. I don't think he's played first team football in a while, so it's probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a better part of a month before we really see him have a start. But at the very least, it will give Tyreek Mitchell a break here and then, because I think he's played every single game. I think it's something like 28 games, I think I wrote it down here somewhere. Yeah, that's 2,451 minutes so far. So I think Tyreek Mitchell deserves a break every now and again, especially after that Man United performance. Then that first half where he was just an absolute solid defender. And but it also gives us, as you mentioned earlier, like the attacking option, which I think Chilwell's a slightly better crosser of the ball than Tyreek Mitchell is. He's a lot more comfortable going forward. But on the other hand, Tyreek Mitchell's a much better defender. So it could be a good sort of balance of being able to swap one out, like if we need an extra attacking option going forward in the last 15, 20 minutes of a game to put on to be able to switch him out like for like with Tyreek Mitchell and not having to completely rework the formation around him. So I don't think he's going to be challenging for the title, not for the title, what am I talking about, for his position anytime soon. But it would just, at the very least, give Tyreek Mitchell a break here and there. I think is probably more the opinion from the Palace sort of coaching team.
Well, sky's the limit for Palace in current form. The title, maybe next season if he sticks around, could be in sight.
Slip of the tongue. We'll see.
Freudian slip, I think, Dan. I think you're right that he will probably be playing half an hour here and there, little cameos at the end of games for now, just to ease him in because, as you say, he's not really played first team football at the highest level for a little while now. In the long run, I definitely don't see a situation in which Mitchell's like out of the team. I mean, he's too important to Palace and they'll want to keep him happy. I could see Glasner at least trying something with sticking Mitchell, in that left centre back role. Maybe sort of drop Richards and move the Croix and Gahey one place over each. I think that's something you could try to get both Mitchell and Chilwell in the team, and it's something that he's not averse to sticking a defensively solid fullback in one of those roles, and he's done it with Klein before, and he's also put Lerma in that left centre back role in times of need. So he clearly doesn't think it needs to be a massive physical centre back in that position. So something I wouldn't be surprised to see. But with Palace's current form defensively, I think Wale 3 clean sheets last 4 games. It's no time soon that he's going to be tinkering with the back 3. I think so. For the time being, I think you're right. Probably most likely just a sort of rotation option for Mitchell to give him a rest and bring on something different when Palace are chasing games. But that in itself is so valuable. The amount of times we've seen Palace stung this season because a Mitchell or Muñoz just completely blowing by the end of the game and haven't had any chance to rest. Or we've seen Palace lose their attacking edge because those wing backs who are so important to the way they play have lost the energy to get up. I think it's absolutely massively useful for them to bring in some cover and to be able to bring in someone of the quality of Ben Chilwell and have the added sort of joy of having Chelsea pay half their wages is nice, really good business for Palace. On that, we'll have a little pause for a word from the network before returning to chat about some Muñoz and Mateta related transfer gossip. Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencaster came out the clear winner. 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencaster. So moving from left to right, City, Chelsea and Barcelona are reportedly all interested in Danny, son of Daniel Muñoz. How worried should Palace be about those rumours, Dan?
I think at the moment, I don't think you need to be worried in the slightest because as far as I can tell, the transfer window has been closed for a few hours now. So I think we've at least got him until the end of the season. These transfer rumours, these guys that do the transfer rumors have got nothing to do for the next few months. So it's pick player, pick team. That's what we're going to run with for the next few months. So for the moment, I think I don't really have to worry too much. But come the summer, I think it's probably going to be a lot of players, a lot of rumours like this from a lot of our first team players that are probably going to be on the list of some of these bigger clubs, as they like to kind of see what's in the mid-table and see if they can't bring the next one up. So it could happen. I wouldn't put it past them, but I'm not going to put any stock in it at the moment until they're actually have signed the contract and they're actually got the picture with the shirt and doing the press conference. I don't put really any real stock in transfer rumours. So that's my opinion on it. So, at the moment, I think we're cool. The transfer window's over as of the time of recording. So I think we're all right for a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. If he were to leave, that would be a concern for Palace. There is maybe a situation in which an offer comes in where it makes sense to sell him. I think by the summer he'll be 29 or turning 29. Palace only paid 8 million for him a year ago now. And if a big offer comes in from a massive club, you can see how, particularly with profit and sustainability being such a factor these days, you can see how that's a tempting offer for Palace. But they'd be losing one of their most important players at both ends of the pitch. Gets through so much defensive work, like 3.7 tackles a game in the league, gets up and provides a creative threat and a goal scoring threat increasingly himself. I think he's second behind Guardiola in the league for expected goals from a defender, if you can really call him a defender. So it would be like one of those transfers that you'd rather happen in the summer than January, which is a relief now if it is going to happen, because he really would need replacement. I'd have to think about how to cope without him. That said, as you say, I don't think there's that much concrete to link him to any of these clubs right now. Seems to be just hearsay for City and Chelsea, and we've seen how much trouble Barcelona have registering players. I think they're going to have to sell off some more intellectual property before they make any big moves in the next summer window. But you never know. He could find himself playing at the Spotify Camp Nou for Playtex Wonder Barcelona come the start of next season. But only time will tell. Returning to the topic of my favourite man in the world, The Athletic's Matt Woosnam, Crystal Palace correspondent, not my favourite man in the world, has written an article. Not that I have any issue with him, but he's written an article.
He'll be absolutely heartbroken now. He's just going to sort of sit in there, listen and go, oh, what? Joe doesn't like me.
He's top 50. Top 50. He's recently written an article urging Palace to offer Grande Jean, Palace's numero 9, an improved contract. Obviously, I agree that they should do this. Do you, Dan?
I would probably tend to agree as well, mainly on the basis of essentially just trying to keep him. So, because I think a lot of teams are going to be looking at like centre forwards. You look at Arsenal during the transfer window, very willing to splurge out 60, 70 for Ollie Watkins, even though there are slightly better, cheaper options in Europe. They seem to be very hell-bent on trying to get a Premiership-level centre-forward. And Mateta is one that's actually scoring goals. So in very much the same vein as Man City giving Haaland a giant contract to try and keep off the likes of Real Madrid, etc., probably wouldn't be the worst idea to do it for Mateta as well. And maybe even put some kind of minimum release clause as well, just so we're not going to get kind of lowballed or anything. So if you want to come and offer him, if you want an offer, this is what we start at, and then something like that, just so we actually kind of get something out of him, or at least try and at least hold them at bay for as long as we can. Probably wouldn't also be a bad idea to do for Guehi and Eze as well. Probably several others, just to make sure we actually kind of get something for it. we kind of are. We're not blessed with sort of loads of money. We can't just sort of go out and get another one. We are a mid-table team. We are in that position of we are a bit of a selling club. So they are sort of brought in for the not quite the purpose of, but will be sold on at a profit. So if we can get actually a decent deal out of him, I think definitely try and get him on a contract as quickly as possible, just to try and keep the Wolves at bay for a little bit longer.
Yeah, spot on. I think as I say, obviously, I think he should be rewarded with a new one, but it's one of those situations where Palace don't exactly need to offer him a new contract. His current deal runs until 2027, so it's not ages, but it's a little while. But that came after the club unilaterally triggered a contract extension. He reportedly had talks over a new deal in the summer, which he walked away from as they were too far away from each other in their valuation. That obviously makes it a little difficult to judge what Palace should do, because we don't know the figures of what A's earning now and B wants to earn. But it seems a report of kind of his wage is understood to be already sort of sizable enough to make anyone on a normal income weep, but not amongst the highest earners in the Palace team. And he's definitely one of the most important 3 or 4 players in the Palace team. He's increasing these sorts of goals, and with those kind of top players, recognizing that they could go to a bigger club because they're not robots. They can drag their heels. They can perform worse if they're unhappy. Recognizing they could go to a bigger club and kind of compensating them fairly for that, I think does do something for beyond the purely economically rational aspect of incentivizing them to stay by paying them more money. I think it does something for their sort of feeling of value and sense of being appreciated within the club. And I think if Palace can lock Mateta down by doing something like that, they could have many years of great goal scoring from him. I mean, he's still, it feels like he's been around for ages, but he still is actually only 27. It's bloomed fairly late and looks after himself really well. So he could be banging in Premier League goals for a long while for Palace, not to mention remaining a motivational and beloved figure in the dressing room, which is important. And yet, lastly, as I'm a fan of Jean-Philippe Mateta over Crystal Palace, it will maintain my interest in the club, which I think that's got to be worth at least 20 grand extra a week to Steve Parish, surely. And before anyone gets at me for calling him Palace's numero 9, it is only because I don't know the French for 14, just to get that off my chest. On that topic, we will have not on that topic, completely unrelated to that topic, we'll have a word from the network now before rounding up today's episode by saying goodbye to a cult hero. Should we say it's a cult hero? Certainly a stalwart of Palace over the last.
Probably on that borderline, yeah. Sort of cult hero.
A Palace stalwart / minor cult hero. Stay tuned. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day. So Palace may now be waving goodbye to a great servant for the club, with Jeff Schlupp joining Celtic on loan for the rest of the season. His contract's up in the summer, so if Palace don't renew, which I think they probably won't, that will be him bowing out after well over 200 appearances in a Palace shirt. Dan, how do you evaluate Schlupp's time at the club on the whole? And do you have any particular favourite moments you'd like to draw attention to?
I don't know about any favourite moments, because most of his time was kind of coming off the bench. He was kind of the Swiss Army knife of substitutes. He was basically whatever gaffer was there would tell him, "Can you go and play in whatever position?" And he's like, "Yep, cool, no worries." I think he played everywhere except in goal. Very much in the same vein as James Milner at Liverpool, and is towards the back end of his career there. Just put him anywhere, he will perform perfectly. He was always solid and consistent. Every once in a while, he'll pop up with a very mad goal just out of absolutely nowhere, and you just don't get how did he do that? More often than not, I kind of forget he was almost there half the time. You just sort of kind of thinking, oh, he's probably moved on by now, and then he trots out from the bench and go, oh, we still have him. Okay, cool. But I think you also mentioned the appearance. I think from what I was reading that he's the fourth highest appearance in Palace history at the moment. I think it was like 240 something, and nearly all of those are in the Premiership. So it's a tribute to how long he sort of stayed at the club, sort of at the top level, and being able to sort of perform at that level as well. Because most players, as they get towards sort of the late 20s, early 30s, they kind of miss a beat and things like that. But he's still there. He's still going. And I think it's just a great sort of advert for Palace that we keep these players around. If you can still perform, we will keep you around. Don't worry, there is a spot for you.
Yeah, I think he is, as you say, it's a sort of symbol of Palace's non-headline grabbing, but very competent, unprecedented period of success in the top flight for the club. Really is built on versatile, hard-working, professional players with a good attitude, like Jeffrey Schlupp. So every one of them deserves credit and love, and Schlupp, particularly because of just the sheer number of appearances and the sheer number of positions he's played in and managers he's played under, I think definitely deserves a lot of love as he probably bows out from Selhurst Park. I'm sure he'll be invited back to wave at the fans at half-time within 2 to 3 years. And yeah, we'd all look forward to the day of welcoming him back. I do have a moment for him, a particular standout moment, which would be his winner against Fulham at the back end of that season. I don't remember. It was an absolute rocket. He described it as the best goal he'd ever seen. It just kept rising, the net off. I wanted to demonstrate the trajectory of the ball with my arms there, but I can't do it without accidentally doing like an Elon Musk. But rest assured,
you can't be doing that now. No, keep your hands to yourself. Hands by your throat.
It was extremely diagonal. That's all we can say. Yeah, lovely strike, and I like it just because it encapsulated that magical end to last season for Palace. That it's one of those situations, a bit like when you're talking to someone really charismatic and you start to think, because you're tricked by the innate bilateral nature of a conversation, maybe I've got some good chat and some riz about me, and then you realise, oh no, it's actually I'm just being carried along by this person. When a team's got a few magical players performing magically, it just seems to bring out things you didn't know what the other utility players were capable of out of them. And that was one of those moments for Jeffrey Schlupp. He's part, of course, of the greatest team ever in that regard. Ghana's 2015 AFCON qualifiers squad. Leicester in 2015-16, of course. But yeah, that was, I think, a really nice moment for him to have. He's also weirdly a Premier League Goal of the Month winner for what was, I thought, quite an innocuous goal that he scored against United at the back end of the 22-23 season, I think, at Old Trafford. I remember this one. He just sort of like flicks the ball with the outside of his heel as headed down from a corner. And it's like a clever finish, but it did not scream Goal of the Month to me. I don't know if there was a particular campaign by the Palace fans that month to get him over the line.
Probably that, and also it was against United. So I think everybody just went, right, let's just vote for that.
Everyone can agree that Jeffrey Schlupp scoring against United is a good thing. But yeah, good luck to Jeffrey Schlupp. I'm sure we'll do well at Celtic. He's been called a great guy by Brendan Rodgers, who I'm not aware of him ever calling anyone a great guy before. It doesn't sound like Brendan to me. So he must be really exceptional. And I hope he has a great time in Scotland. Maybe Wale can go and say hello. Pop down in Glasgow. He can't be too far away.
See if Wale can go and get his a little interview with him.
I think they might get bogged down in. I've seen I've been made aware through the off-menu podcasts and stuff. There's lots of beef between Ghanaians and Nigerians about who makes the best jollof rice. So we don't want them to get in a scrap about that.
Okay, right. We might not
then. With that, with thoughts of jollof rice and the related hunger in our bellies, we will wrap up for the day. Thank you for joining me, Dan.
No worries. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Give us 5 stars and tune in again when we're back tomorrow.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.